To Guaranteed Irish Air Ireland's last gets lumps of Megan Scully, August Das Kinds Let on Var Show. Very excited about this one, of course. Damian McGinty, Conas Tatu, how are you getting on?
Megan, I'm good. How are you?
I'm so good, of course. A very proud dairyman, but you're chatting to us all the way from Tennessee.
I am. I'm in Tennessee this week. I know I'm currently in Memphis. Actually, this is where my in-laws are from. So we're here for a few days.
Tell me about the magic of Memphis, Tennessee, because we've all heard about it.
Aye, there is. I mean, there's this used to be the old Music City before it kind of moved to Nashville. Because obviously, Graceland is here, Elvis is here. They made a lot of the old records here.
Yeah.
So it's definitely a great spot. It's not, it wouldn't be so much music anymore, but still the live bar scene and the live music scene is pretty crazy here. Like a lot of, bluegrass bars and bluegrass bands, and all that stuff. So it's really, really impressive here. Yeah.
Oh, I'd say it's just magical. And I do have to ask because, obviously it's the most Irish thing ever, but what's the weather like at the moment?
It's humid. It's like, I think that's maybe my least favorite type of weather is like when you walk outside, you're like immediately drenched because it's just like, it's so humid outside. It's sticky, as we say back home.
Actually, it's funny you say that because it's actually quite sticky in Ireland at the moment, but probably not the same kind of stickiness. But in terms of Irish weather, it's quite warm, which is even unusual. Like I have all the windows shut here now, but as soon as we're finished, I'm going to have to open them up again. So we kind of understand what you're going through, but maybe not as
100%. Yeah.
Now, of course, we are going to talk about the new track and the EP as well, but we have to go back. I mean, between Glee and Celtic Thunder, and I know you were 14, was it when you started Celtic Thunder?
14, yeah, whenever that first came along. So, I mean, that's the crazy thing is now that's half of my life at this point. So yeah, I've been doing this for a very long time, and I mean that was definitely a lucky break back then, Megan. But like I think it was I was fortunate that I got a lucky break and I was surrounded by really good people that were in that particular show.
Yeah.
Like the musical director was Phil Coulter, so he really like took me under his wing and he understood the music industry. He understood what I needed to avoid and what I needed to do in order to like maybe have a shot at having a career at this. So I was very fortunate with my break and like who was involved with it,
And being 14 though as well, you're a child. Like how was that going off and stepping into that world? Because, as I said, you're in school and everything.
Yeah, I know. I mean, it definitely had its moments. Like I'm very fortunate that I had parents that like trusted me to be like, we're very scared about sending you off to America. Cause I mean, they couldn't come with me because, I was gone for 3 months and they have obviously jobs and they couldn't come on the bus with the boys and all that stuff. It just wasn't practical. So for them to like have trusted me and be like, okay, we'll send you off and you can do this. I'm very grateful for that. But yes, as you say, I was juggling school on the road as well, which was honestly, it sounds like, when I tell that people are like, oh, you get out of school, how lucky is that? But I would have got up every day at 9 a.m. Whenever we got to the new city, I would go into the venue. So before setup, I would go into the venue when, the dressing rooms were just empty. And I would go in there with my teacher that came on the road with us. I had a tutor that came on the road. And I would only do 3 hours of school. But if you really think about it, 3 hours of intense one-on-one where like there's nowhere to hide. do that, like, do you really do that much actual school in a 6-hour school day? You probably don't, because you probably spend half of it at least either zoning out or talking with friends or lunch break or in between classes, all this stuff. So it was 3 hours of nowhere to hide, which was quite intense.
I can just imagine her like it's like out of the toilet then for a break and hiding away and trying to avoid teachers in the hallway, but she couldn't do that.
I know.
So then I suppose, being 14, suddenly you're actually you're in your career, and most of us when we're 14 we're like trying to get to go into discos and we're, as you said, trying to get through the 6 hours day. So what was it like for you realizing then that okay, this could be the rest of my life now? So was there ever a moment because you were so young, but was there ever that moment where you thought like you knew this is where I want to be now?
I think honestly, I think from like even from 14 or 15 when I first got that break, I don't even know if I was thinking about like, I mean, I definitely wasn't thinking about 10 years down the line, but what I would say is that my mindset was never, what's it going to look like when this is over? You know what I mean? Like I'm like, not in a negative way of taking it for granted, just in a way of, I know that I'm always going to put whatever work in that is needed in order to do this as a career. Like this just always felt like it was going to be my career. and that was always the mindset I had. And so far so good. I mean, it's worked out that way, and I'm 28 now, and I'm still able to do it as a living, and on a pretty good level. So it's been a really enjoyable 14 years, to say the least.
Well, it's certainly the first time on this show that we've had someone coming in from Memphis, Tennessee. So, a very special moment here as well. So, Garmila Mila
There you go.
No,
yeah.
It's absolutely special. Now, I have to talk about the Glee Project, and of course, then getting onto Glee, because that was the biggest TV show in the world at the time. And I remember when the Irish lad got onto Glee, because I remember it was absolutely it was all the talk, and it was so cool for us having someone representing our country on the biggest musical show in the world at the time. Bring us back to that time and going for the Glee Project and being on the series, and like Glee is, as we said, it was huge.
Yeah, that's funny you say that, because back home it very much was. I mean, in Derry it was Damian McGinty this, Damian McGinty that, but I feel like the rest of Ireland, it was just like, did you see Irish man on Glee? Like, it wasn't even. That was the recognition that you were going to get back home. It was like, oh, the Irish fella there got himself on Glee. Fair play to him, you know what I mean? Like, but it was such a great experience. It was very, very challenging. Like, it had its challenging moments. The Glee Project, I would say, I mean, on reflection, at least, living it was probably different, but on reflection, the Glee Project was maybe more enjoyable than the actual show itself, because it was so naive and it was so fresh, and it was also season 1 of the Glee Project, so like nobody knew what this show was going to look like. Nobody had watched it before. I think the producers were, they won't mind me saying this, like they were kind of making it up as they went along as well. Like they didn't really have like a formula of what this TV show was going to look like. They just threw, initially it was 40,000 at audition, but they basically brought it to a top 12, and then they threw us into these like cabins or dorms in the middle of the California mountains, and they just made a TV show out of it. And they finally, I think as they were like finding their feet, they found a structure as to what this show was going to look like. But that was such an enjoyable experience because everybody was so excited and everybody was so young. Like the oldest person we have is like 20, 21 years old, which is just not, I was 18. And I was one of the youngest there probably. So we were all in that, in that like age where it's a really fun age where you don't necessarily need your life plan yet, where you kind of have the flexibility of not necessarily worrying about it so much, where it's like you can take a shot at this. If it doesn't work out, it's okay. Like you're still 19 and you have your whole life ahead of you. So it was such an enjoyable experience. So we bonded with all of us bonded, the top 12 bonded. We made some great friendships, and then winning that, which was, I just severe luck of the Irish, right place, right time, a lot of hard work, maybe a wee bit of talent as well, but like I feel like a lot of it was pure hard graft. And then getting on to Glee was such a great experience. So the whole thing lasted about 3 or 4 years in that Glee world, and it was pretty nuts. I learned a lot and I grew up a lot. It was a lot of fun.
Rory Flanagan as well, like good old Irish name too for you.
I know, and actually, because I met Ryan, so once I had won it, we filmed it from from February to April in 2011, and it aired on TV from June to August 2011. So I knew I'd won months before it had aired, which was a very, very surreal sort of experience. It was a really fun couple of months. People being like, "Oh my God, you made top 12! Like, what's gonna happen?" And I'm like, "I know I've already won this. This happened months ago in my life."
You're like,
So I was able to watch it unravel. But I remember I was in LA and I met Ryan Murphy. After I'd won it, I seen Ryan at an event, and he looked at me and he goes, I think we have your character and we have him developed and we know his name." I was like, all right. I was like, what's his name? At that time, he was like, we're gonna call him Rory Obama. So he was meant to be called Rory Obama, but he ended up Rory Flanagan. I know. And I think you're the first person I ever told that to. So there you go.
Exclusive here on Guaranteed Irish Enough, Rory Obama. But you know what? I suppose the Obama, and Moneygall, the whole Offaly thing is really, popular here. And I've had people come over from other countries and they're like, I'm like, Obama. I was like stopping into Moneygall into the plaza and there's like a statue of the Obamas. And I was like, yeah, his ancestors are from here. So there you go. We love the Obamas around here. Now we have to talk about
Oh, yeah.
2021 and the music, and those were the days. Is your EP out on June 25th, which is also my mother's birthday, and it's also the name of the
Yes.
school. So of course I won't forget that one. And what I
Yeah.
love what you did for 2021 though. You brought out a song every month so far this year.
Yeah.
So like, was it just, did you spend all 2020 like preparing all these songs, then start releasing them, or how did the process work for you?
It's it has ended up right now in this moment become a fluid thing. But I was able to prep like the first 3 months. Like obviously, basically the way this came around was last year everything was cancelled. Every tour. Like everybody, in a way lost employment. The whole world lost employment for a while there. And obviously musicians, that has lasted for quite a long time. But initially, once I kind of figured out that this is going to be like a longer term thing, and because I had, tours planned over the summer in the autumn of last year, that I was hopeful, like the summer was canceled first, but I was like, maybe the autumn will happen. And then like the autumn was canceled in like early May or something, I remember. And I was like, this is going to be a long term problem. So I was like, I need to create a plan, and I need to have objectives, and I need to have a purpose, because I just work best that way. I can't sit around almost waiting for the music industry to return. That's just not gonna fulfill me in any way, shape, or form. I need to be bettering myself, growing myself, and evolving. So I basically went into this hole of creating music, which was really, really fun. And then I was like, I think next year I'm gonna challenge myself and release a song every month, and that's what I've done. And it's went really, really well. And I'm definitely, so the new one is Those Were the Days, which I think is 100% like the strongest representation of what I want to do and what I want to be as an artist, and what I want my sound to sound like. So it's kind of rare when you're writing music that you get this algorithm of everything that you feel like you want to be represented by as your music. And I think that song like ticks that box. So I'm excited about it.
Absolutely incredible. Of course, we're going to play it now in a couple of moments. And I have to ask you, I know you said, as I said, Memphis, Tennessee, but LA is home. I love Los Angeles. I've been there a few times myself, and I just think there's something so magical about the place and just so lovely. And I can't wait to get back myself. Everything about it, I just really, really love. And like, how have you found life over there? I know it's such a, I find, creative space anyways, because everyone there seems to be creating something, if it's not music or acting or art or load of stuff going on all the time.
It is, and that's, as you say, it's not just singing and acting. It's this world of creative personalities, which has, I feel like since I've moved there, there's been this whole new generation of like creativity. Like I know this social influencing thing can sometimes almost be like frowned upon, but it's actually a really creative and really hard job. Like if you're a social influencer, which is like such a modern day thing now, that's a full-time job. Like you're consistently creating content, and that's a talent in itself. Like I run all my own social media channels, and sometimes it's tough to keep up with, and I don't have to worry about like, create. I'm not, I get offered like ad deals a lot, but like that's just not who I am. I would never do that. Not that there's anything wrong with it. It just wouldn't necessarily be my brand. But point being, it's such a talent to keep up with that and to actually present that as well as a social influencer. So there's so many different types of talent, art, you name it. And it's really nice being in a city where it's just like creative juices, people that are kind of in the same mindset as you. Nobody works, to be honest. Like nobody has a job. So it's like somebody hits you up at like 11 a.m. on a Tuesday. Hey, do you want to like grab a pint? And I'm like, I don't want to grab a pint. It's 11 a.m. Like that would never happen in Ireland. You know what I mean? Because everybody's in work. So LA is the only place in the world where that would happen. But it's a great place to live. I've lived there 10 years now. I've really enjoyed it. And yeah, I love it. It's good.
It's funny you say there, because I remember when I was over there, it was Six Nations was on. So we all ended in Santa Monica in the King's Head at 9 a.m. in the morning to watch the Irish game. And I remember then we went in and it was full of Irish fans. And I was like, this is bananas. And it was like, it's so early in the morning because obviously the time difference. But we had a great day there. I was like, this is just so much fun. And then away from that, then we got to do the hikes and swimming and everything, and it was just great. But it's such a magical place, and I'd say, like I said, I can't wait to get back across when restrictions allow us to move again.
Hopefully soon. I know. Yeah, hopefully by the end of this year you'll get over. I think things are maybe starting to ease up a little bit, so fingers crossed.
And when can we expect you back in the Emerald Isle, or when can the people of Derry be welcoming you back?
I'm gonna get back again in August. I actually got back late April for the first time since this whole thing went down. lockdown, so since Christmas 2019. So I got back in April, and I was actually able to use that time and make the video for Those Were the Days. The music video was shot in my in the driveway of my home in Derry, which was really, really enjoyable. So yeah, so it kind of brought the theme full circle almost. But I'll get back again now in August, and I normally do get back like several times a year. I try and get home. Like even though I love traveling and I live away and I'm a homeboy at heart, so I try and get back as often as possible.
I think that's the thing about us Irish. No matter how far from home we go, we always want to get
No
back.
matter how far, always. You always want your mommy's cooking. Never, never not.
Absolutely. Well, before I let you go, what is your favorite meal when you're home?
I do love a stew. My mom makes a great stew. Yeah, and I love chili. I love her pasta. There's not much that I don't like, to be honest. I love baked potatoes and chicken.
Yeah.
Like even that sample, I love that as well. Like just homemade food, love it.
Irish spuds, you can't beat them. Damian McGinty.
Can't beat them.
It's been an absolute pleasure chatting to you. They're guaranteed Irish, and of course mentioned your EP is out on June 25th. But